So we have 3 days left in one of the most consequential elections of our lifetime, and we still have work to do.
This is a very important state, and we have to get this solved. We have to get you out, and we can't take a chance of losing the great state of North Carolina. We're not going to lose the great state of North Carolina.
So here we go now, 2 days and counting. Remember we were starting this thing like 60 days ago? Home stretch right there. State of the race. Come on over here, Jimmy. This is what our forecasts have been looking like, and this really goes back more than a month. All right, we think everything in gold and or yellow is a toss-up, right? But about a week ago, we had Arizona lean Republican, so we gave it that little rosé red color there. I don't know what's going on in Iowa, Dana, right? I mean, we've got it likely Republican. You know, Trump won at 9 points in 2016, won at 8 points in 2020, so we'll see how that goes. Here's another thing to look at, all right? You know, this is New York Times from overnight, okay? These are all the swing states. Everything's super close as best as we can tell. Look, someone's going to be right, someone is going to be wrong. That's just what it comes down to. They've got Trump ahead in Arizona. They've got her up a point in Georgia. They got a dead tie in Michigan. They got Carolina Harris leading there by 2. They got Harris up 3 in Nevada, but if you look at some of the early voting in Nevada, Republicans have done a very good job of turning out their voters. In fact, they've got a lead right there by about almost 5 points right now in the early voting in Nevada. Pennsylvania, flat out tie right there. I'll come back to that in a moment. And they've got Wisconsin up too. So what do we know? James Blair might know a few things. Political director, RNC, Trump campaign. James, good morning to you. Just give us your state of the race right now. What does your campaign see?
We're very optimistic right now. We feel good about where things are. Right now, obviously, what we're watching is people are voting. And what we've seen is historic early voting by Republicans outperforming 2020 or even 2022. So from our perch, things look pretty good right now. I'm sure we'll go through state by state, but some highlights. North Carolina, we won the early vote. That's never happened before. In Nevada, the mail dumps are coming in, and they're not as blue as the Democrats would like them to be. And there's not as many of them. So lots of good signs in our direction right now.
Okay, I want to read this from Nate Cohn. This is on the New York Times polling that I showed our viewers here. Across these final polls, white Democrats were 16% likelier to respond than white Republicans. That's a larger disparity than our earlier polls this year, and it's not much better than our final polls in 2020, even with the pandemic over. It raises the possibility that the polls could underestimate Mr. Trump yet again. We do a lot to account for this, but in the end, there are no guarantees. How do you read that?
I think it's covering. I think that they know where things stand. Look, in all of those polls, in all the battleground states, I heard Carl before this talking about the recalled vote, they've set the electorate to the left of 2020, which doesn't comport with what we know, which is that all of these electorates have moved to the right, just on a registration-eligible electorate basis itself. And obviously, we see that starting to manifest in the early voting patterns. So I think that they're sort of putting some cover out there because they're going to underrepresent President Trump's support. What they essentially are saying there is, we got too many Democrats in the survey. We don't have enough Republicans. We know that, but we're going to publish these numbers on the eve of the election anyway.
So the pollsters have told us that they've accounted for this because of the miss in 16, the miss in 2020. We'll see whether or not that happens. Wall Street Journal has been a big target for your campaign. Young men could boost Trump to victory if they show up. That's the headline. What are you seeing out there in the battlegrounds?
Well, let's just talk about the partisan registration states where they register by party, because then you don't have to take my word for it. You can go look for yourself. Nevada, Arizona, Pennsylvania, North Carolina. Republicans have turned out more 0 of 4 voters and 1 of 4 voters, so those less frequent or newly registered voters, than the Democrats have in every single one of those states. So I'd say that there's evidence that it's working on our part. We are turning out those lower propensity voters, be they young men or otherwise. So everything you can measure right now suggests that it's going well for us.
My sense is on Tuesday, we're going to be spending a lot of time in Pennsylvania. Maybe that's right, maybe it's wrong, but this 8 years ago, this is Trump winning that state by 44,000 votes over Hillary Clinton. 4 years ago, this is Biden winning the state by 81,000 votes in 2020. We'll see, but it's just my sense that the Keystone State will be very critical and key come Tuesday. How much can your campaign do in the closing 48 hours?
A lot. We can keep getting out the vote, and let's talk about Pennsylvania. Right now, there's nearly 700,000 registered Democrats in the state of Pennsylvania who had cast a vote by this point in 2020 or 2022, and they haven't cast a vote yet, and they don't have mail ballots. That's a huge hurdle for them to climb. Secondarily, again, we've talked about the voter registration before, Bill, but just to put a fine point on it, there was 685,000 more registered Democrats in the state of Pennsylvania 4 years ago than Republicans. Today, that number's been cut to about 280,000. So huge swing in our direction.
James Blair, thank you for your time. I know you're working day and night. Thanks for coming on today, and we'll see who's right. Thanks. Back special coverage Sunday morning. As Dana said, don't change that dial on your set. If there are there still dials, Dana? No, it's all like remotes,
in
right?
8% of households.
And how many?
8.
Oh, come on, did you know that really?
No, I'm making it
It's
up.
like ChatGPT, right? This is Georgia from 4 years ago. This is Joe Biden winning by 0.2 percentage points for a grand total of fewer than 12,000 votes in Georgia. You know what happened down there, right? Now with 16 electoral votes, Atlanta is Fulton County. Fulton County is number 1 of 159 in population. You get a lot of Democratic votes out of Fulton County. Welcome back on a Sunday morning. Today is the last day of in-person voting in the pivotal swing state of Michigan. Here's where Michigan was 8 years ago. Whew. 11,612 votes. This is where Michigan was 4 years ago. Biden flipped it, 154,000 votes to take the state. This is Detroit. This is Wayne County. It's very blue. You're going to get a strong African-American vote there. We'll see how strong it is in the end. You're going to get a lot of Democratic votes as well. But Wayne County and the city of Detroit can help determine a lot statewide. You see what Biden did there with 332,000 votes in one county alone. Grady Trimble is live in Wayne County. He's in Dearborn, Michigan, getting a lay of the land. And Grady, what are you learning?
Well, Bill, the Trump campaign has been trying to exploit Vice President Harris's weakness with the Arab American community, many of them unhappy with the Biden-Harris administration's handling of the wars in Gaza and Lebanon. The Trump team has been doing outreach in Dearborn, which is home to the largest Arab American population in the country, even before former President Trump stopped here on Friday. And at least anecdotally, that outreach may be paying off. I spoke with 2 Lebanese Americans voting early, both voting in their first presidential election and both casting their ballots for Trump.
President Trump promised us. I know he's gonna keep a promise. We should have a change and we should bring peace to the Middle East.
Why do you think he's going to handle the Middle East better than the current administration?
Because he don't like war. He don't like to spend money out U.S. like billion for Ukraine, billion for Israel, billion here, billion there. We need the money in America.
At an event with the United Auto Workers Union in Detroit, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, the only Palestinian American in Congress, told auto workers to vote Democrat, but refused to explicitly endorse Harris. And you mentioned that it's the last day of in-person early voting here in Michigan. Looking at the numbers, more than 40% of registered voters have already cast their ballots here. As you can see behind me, Bill, blue skies here in the Detroit suburbs today. Looking ahead to Election Day, though, the weather's not looking so good. That could hamper turnout in a race in a state where everything could come down to turnout.
Yeah, we'll watch that story. I know the rain's coming your way, but I think those Michiganders are pretty tough. All right. I think they'll fight their way through it. Grady, thank you. Dana. This is Georgia now, okay? Georgia has been the focus for 4 years. It's gotten a lot of attention. They did a rewrite of their election laws. The early vote in Georgia, 4 million, okay? That equates to about 55% of all registered voters in the Peach State. That's really, really impressive. And speaking of which, on election night, when you're watching us, between that 7 and 8 o'clock hour, Georgia closes at 7 o'clock. By 8 o'clock, we're going to have a lot of different colors on the map to let you know which way Georgia is going for that moment in time for the night come Tuesday night. Let's look at this now, okay? In person, they love to do it, 3.7 million. You got a lot of others by mail. 242,000, right? But the margin in Georgia was so slim in 2020, either one can make a big deal, all right, and a big difference. I want to bring in a judge in Georgia rejecting the RNC's lawsuit. The RNC was arguing against large counties from accepting hand-returned mail-in ballots on the weekend. They were saying that's against the rules. Our legal editor is Carrie Bond, and she's with me now to take us through it. So they made the case. It appears they were denied. What's at stake there, Carrie?
You know, we're going to just continue to see so many of these kinds of challenges in not just Georgia, but all of the swing states. And here, the RNC was arguing that Fulton County and other counties were allowing people to drop off their mail-in ballots past the early voting deadline and keeping their offices open on Saturday, yesterday, and Sunday today to do so. Now, the state came back and said, well, wait a second, we've always allowed people to drop off their mail-in ballots in person. And also, our law allows counties, if they desire, to keep election offices open on the weekends if they choose to do so. And so the RNC was disappointed about this. They're appealing that. But separately, they were allowed to introduce poll observers into those counties. So my understanding is they were there yesterday and today in these counties watching to make sure that the process is going smoothly and okay.
Okay, here's the RNC chairman, Michael Watley. He didn't like this move at all. Remember the counties we're talking about here, okay? You know, Fulton, Cobb, DeKalb, Gwinnett. That's like 4 of the top 5 populated in the entire state of Georgia. Those counties decided at the last minute to accept ballots over the weekend, which disregards the law. They've also failed to let our poll observers in to watch the process. He concludes, however, Carrie, Secretary of State issued guidance to allow Republican poll watchers in, but local officials refuse, in all caps. You're saying that last part has changed since then.
It did change. It changed a couple of hours later. They sent out a clarifying note and said those poll observers could in fact come in, which the RNC then touted as a victory, but they are appealing the underlying decision. Okay,
Jonathan Turley's got a pretty good headline. He says, Halloween's over, but the election litigation is getting really scary. All right, then he writes, rocket science is Elon Musk catching a massive booster rocket on what looked like a giant barbecue fork. Getting the staff and computers in place in a historic election should not be a great challenge. Is he wrong?
But it is one, and I would say there are a couple of reasons as to why that is. With the widespread introduction of mail-in voting during COVID, it doesn't mean the system, it broke the system or the system is broken. It just makes things a lot more difficult for everyone. I would say that combined with the fact that we have moved toward election season versus election day in this country just makes all of these things ripe for challenges. And if I were to categorize the kinds of lawsuits the DNC and the RNC are bringing, I would say the DNC lawsuits have been focused on people having access to mail-in ballots. And a number of lawsuits they filed have said people haven't, they need to get those. And the RNC lawsuits have been characterized by challenging the validity of mail-in ballots and state laws about signing and dating and envelopes. And so you can see how these things can converge and clash, and hence the litigation that we've been seeing for the months leading up to now, and probably the litigation that we'll be seeing after as well, if the race is close.
I think that last time very interesting is like, what are Republicans looking for? What are they complaining about? What are Democrats looking for? What are they complaining about? We'll keep that in mind come Tuesday, maybe beyond. Thank you, Carrie. Nice to see you. Thanks for getting up.
Thank you.
Carrie Urban, thanks.
Bill Hammer, what do you have down there in that studio?
Hey, morning again. I'm going to show you some of our features that our viewers will be introduced to now, and then you'll see a lot more of it come Tuesday night. But I just want to recap a little bit, right? The race to 270, that's what this is all about. Even today as we are here, Trump's best chance to get to 270, like the straight line path, is where he's campaigning today. Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. If he sweeps those 3 states, he'll be the president yet again. Let me go ahead and take these off the map here and show you for Kamala Harris, it hasn't changed. It's that blue wall strategy, all right? Upper Midwest, Wisconsin, and then Michigan, Pennsylvania. And if you get that 1 electoral vote in Nebraska too, that would give her enough to win the White House at 270 votes. Okay, I'll take this off and I'll take you back to a time 4 years ago, okay? This is 2020. This is the blue wall right here, right? Biden swept it. Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, okay? Wisconsin was the closest of the 3, in fact. Won it by 0.6 percentage points, all right? Now I want to look at the vote difference, Pennsylvania. And what you see here is the historical view of Pennsylvania going back to the year 2000. Democratic state. It's been blue every time except for 1. And I would point out, Obama's victory in 2008, that's not even a battleground. Won the state by 10 points. Romney was able to go ahead and cut that by about half. But when Trump flipped the state in 2016, he was able to win the White House by 44,000 votes. Let's look at the vote difference now for Michigan. What you see is a similar picture. even more Democratic, right? Look where Obama was in 2008. I got to reach that far to get there. 16 points, right? 16 and a half. And this was the difference maker for Trump in 2016, winning by 10,700 votes. I mentioned Wisconsin. Let's look at the vote difference for Wisconsin. Very interesting history. I don't know what you see at home. What I see are 4 really close national elections with 2 outliers, 2008 and 2012. But this was the difference maker yet again in 2016. That was Trump by 22,000 votes. So what I've just shown you is the blue wall in 2016 went red the entire time and got away from its blue pattern. Let's go ahead and clear this a second here. Much more to show on that with regard to Wisconsin, but that was the closest battle in 2020. I said 0.6. Raw vote is 20,000. I don't know if it's going to be that close this year, but we'll find out. We'll be able to tell based on history a little bit, Dana, about sort of, what these previous elections have told us and the patterns and how America constantly realigns itself, Dana.
That's a great new feature, and it's helpful to have it in terms of with that graphic. The team that you work with, they've been extraordinary putting this together.
They sure have. The best, right? I mean, they're really, really working hard. And a lot of this stuff, Dana, when we sat down 2 years ago and said, how do you take all this information at one time, all this data, all these voters from all these counties and all these states, and how are we better able to tell a story about America? And this is what we found, and we'll unveil a few more come Tuesday night.
I know, I'm excited for everyone to see it.
Yeah, you got it.
Indeed. All right, well, are you coming back?
I'll be up there in a minute.
Okay, good. I've missed you. All right, here we go.
Then.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.